Oh, what you do to me, no one knows. And I realize you're mine. Indeed a fool am I. I realize you're mine. Indeed a fool am I. I journey through the desert of the mind with no hope. I follow. I drift along the ocean, dead lifeboat in the sun, and come undone, pleasantly caving in. I come undone, and I realize you're mine. Indeed a fool am I. I realize you're mine. Indeed a fool am I.
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. I think we could be. Might could be. I think. We are live, ladies and gentlemen, here on the I'm No Joe YouTube channel, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. Welcome and thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, to your home for all things punchy, kicky. We are here to get the shenanigans going, get the shit talking flowing, but before we get too deep into it, I want to take just a moment here and thank these fine folks for coming along the ride with me. We've got a new guy here. I'm hoping I don't get one of those underage strikes again, because fucking teenagers just seem to be getting into MMA more and more these days. How you doing, new guy?
Swear to fucking God, YouTube. Doing good.
Stuff.
Doing good. Finally got all my stuff straightened out on my end, so back. Oh God, I hit my mic. Back every Thursday night to do this fun shit.
Hell yeah. Glad to have you along, sir. And then, as it is more often than not across the octagon from myself here, my Wednesday night homeboy, my combat talk compatriot here, the one and only Golf T Vapes himself. How you doing, TJ?
First and foremost, who the fuck is this guy?
Right?
Why is he banging on his mic like he owns the joint?
Kids these days, I tell you.
Other than that, I'm fucking excellent. But when you're bringing in these little baby-faced bastards, we're bound to get strikes. It's gonna suck. But
You know.
we're gonna have to deal with it.
Kids these days, what can you
I
say?
mean,
It looks like you fell in.
I can make it.
You need to-
I can make it a lot worse. Like I can take my hat off and I can literally look like I'm fucking 12.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You do look like you're 12. I'm just saying, it looks like you fell in the dirt. We dump a little milk on that. The cat will lap it right off.
Right? You'll be all right.
Don't make me get my cat in here.
Get you a new loofah and scrub that right off. Oh, but what a strange, strange week it has been. Last weekend did not get to do a What Did I Say show because life was fucking crazy. Last Thursday night did not actually get to do the I'm No Joe podcast on Thursday because, again, life was continuously crazy. So we cranked that out solo before Saturday's event. So I do have a little bit of a recap from Saturday's event because, as kind of the theme rolling there, last weekend was a little bit crazy, so didn't get to do a What Did I Say on Sunday either. So we got a little bit of a recap here for this Saturday. But before we get into the recap, one of the things that I was actually planning to announce on the last What Did I Say show, and then subsequently the I'm No Joe podcast, and when it got moved I forgot, and then there wasn't another What Did I Say show. So what I was originally going to tell you fine folks who tune along for the shenaniganry here is, in an effort to try and streamline this and try and help condense the show, because we tend to get a little off topic sometimes and run a little bit long in the tooth, what we're going to be doing starting after Fight Island kicks off, because there's a whole lot going on between now and then. Once the Fight Island starts to kind of get underway, because we are going to do a Combat Compatriot live for the second Fight Island show on July 15th. Once we get past that, starting the following week, not the 18th, but before the show that will be on 25th, the final Fight Island show, we will be moving the news and recent events segment to its own mini show on Wednesday nights at 8:30 Central. Still right here, same channel, but we will try and condense it down to just a news, recent events, and segment for things like that, so that we can get those its own little segment, and then we have more time to go off on all the important things about the cards on Thursday nights. But just one of many, many things we've got in the works here for the coming rest of 2020, now that the Backstreet Boys seem to be at least not gone, but not as big of an issue as they were when the reunion tour first kicked off, so we can try and get things a little closer to how they originally, or how we'd like them to be, and start getting some of the new things we were originally going to start throwing out early 2020 back into the mix. That being said, that's not now. So we're going to jump in and give you a little bit of a recap before we do some news now. So first and foremost, the first thing that has to be said, because it was a legitimate point of contention, not only this last weekend, but multiple times before, for good reason, Jessica I, going into a fight, has a tendency to talk a lot of shit about other fighters missing weight. And as is the case quite often when you live in a glass house, you shouldn't throw fucking rocks, because go figure, Jessica I, despite another tailgate incident in her favor, still weighed in over at 126.25. Although there is controversy, because Cynthia Calvillo is saying that her and her coach have text messages from 20 minutes before the weigh-in took place saying that Jessica was not going to make it, that in the hotel room she weighed 129.6. So there is contention, but one way or another, she missed weight after talking shit during her own fight week about other fighters missing weight. That can't be overlooked. The irony of the karma coming back to bite her in the ass, so to speak, was almost poetic.
You know, speaking of these toll gate situations, we've talked about this more than once. I think it's time that instead of them doing the weigh-ins in front of media, they need to put it in a closed-off room where there's just the doctor and the person weighing. That's it. Let them give the weight, and then they can put their clothes on and go exit. So that way there's no access to towels or anything else for them to hang on to. Because guess what? You can get naked in front of the doctor.
Right.
Fuck it.
Well, and the funny thing about it is, the only reason the media is there is to take pictures that they're going to get an hour and a half later when they do the official weigh-in face-offs anyway. So I agree completely. I think when it comes for the actual fucking weigh-ins, let it be the fighters, let it be the fucking commission, let it be the doctors, and that's fucking it. Let them be in a private room. If you need to get naked, but no fucking towel, no hoop of shame. You, the commission, and the fucking doctor are there to verify it. No fucking cameras, because We've got way too many of these issues. As if weight cutting wasn't enough of a problem, we've had way too many tailgates lately.
The only time that was ever acceptable to have the hoop of shame or a towel was when they did the weigh-ins live. Now they had to do a ceremonial weigh-in.
Yes.
Guess what? You don't need to have that in front of media. I say nix that shit so that way motherfuckers don't get wrapped into these cheating type scenarios.
I agree. I agree completely. It's fucking ridiculous.
I cheating because they got away with it, so it's kind of like the law. It's only illegal if you get caught.
Well, no, then if they do it in a private setting to where there's nobody, there needs to be somebody documenting, like, off to the side the actual weight, so it is fucking, like, physically recorded that that's the weight and nobody got paid off, because that would become a big fucking thing.
Well, that's what the commission's there for. The commission has to sanction everything from the signing the gloves to... Good luck.
Oh, yeah.
Good luck. Because that's the same commission that rules over everything else has to do with the fight. They're the ones that sanction the bout themselves, so...
They're also the same cocksuckers who give fucking medical suspensions, too.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm not saying they're perfect, but I'm saying that's who you've got to go through if you want to get it sanctioned like that. And if you're going to cut the media out, there's got to be a commission representative there. But at least that's a starting point to try and get this shit under control, because clearly they don't have a fucking clue. But moving along from there, jumping into the actual event itself, despite not being the biggest names or the highest draw, these prelims fucking went by in a flash. First 3 fights of the prelims ended in first round finishes, and then the premier prelim where Merab came in, he broke his own fucking record of 11 takedowns by getting 13 takedowns in a single fucking 3-round match. Merab is going to be a very serious fucking problem for that division going forward once he gets a little more confidence, a little familiarity in the octagon itself under the bright lights. Merab's going to be a big fucking problem. You can really see why Matt Serra has been screaming about this fucking guy for the last 4 or 5 fucking years, telling people as soon as Merab gets his contract, you guys are all in fucking trouble. We see it now. We see it.
You know, I will say, other than the fact that the prelims were all excellent, the honorable mention goes to somebody who's not even fighting anymore, Ben Askren. I don't know if anybody saw his tweet, said, those are all quick finishes, but they're not as quick as mine.
Still not as quick as my record.
Him getting knocked out. That dude has fucking chops for days. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he leaned into that shit hard. I was impressed the way he took that in stride.
That was fantastic. It made me laugh. I fucking, when I saw it, I about keeled over. I was like, you get honorable mention here for the night. You don't even have to be on the card or fighting anymore.
Absolutely.
You can be retired. Shoot that from the sidelines. Well done, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. So, getting into the main event from last weekend here, right out of the gate, the main card opener, Hannah Cyphers was never in that fucking fight. You could tell from Jump Street, from the time she stepped out of the little makeshift tunnel thing they had set up, she was doing a 1,000-yard stare at the fucking walls of an empty building. She was not in it from the get-go, and she got choked the fuck out for it. I'm never really excited to see Hannah Cyphers lose. I like her. I really do. I want to see her fucking do well, but it's like every time she seems like she's getting her shit together, the next time we see her, it's like she's tripping over her own fucking feet again. And this is one of those times. I thought that fucking fight with Angie Hill was hers. I don't agree with that fucking decision. I thought she did more than enough. She controlled it more than enough. I thought that was hers. But then she came in here Saturday, and it's like she left all of her fucking motivation in the locker room and came out half-hearted and was just never in it. And it's easy to see why she got choked the fuck out for it.
So I was surprised, but it is Hannah Cyphers.
Exactly. Now, the next one, though, there was a little bit of what are we going to see here? Mark De La Rosa, we have seen, is a fucking amazing jiu-jitsu player. The fucking black belt couple But for whatever fucking reason, apparently Mark does not think it's important to train his fucking boxing, despite his wife showing that she clearly has some goddamn hands as well as her black belt. He came in there and just got pieced the fuck up from the beginning. I mean, I really, really, really want to see the fucking first couple of jiu-jitsu in the UFC doing well. I think the De La Rosas, if they could mutually work on their weaknesses, could together be a very dominant couple legitimately in the UFC. But at this point, it's starting to look like Montana's the only one who's taking this shit seriously. Like, Mark hit fucking cruise control the second he got that UFC contract, because he really hasn't changed his game or developed any of the holes that we have clearly seen poked several fights in a row now, whereas Montana looks better every time we see her out there.
For me, the craziest thing is, for how long he tried to get a takedown in that fight, he couldn't manage one.
God, it's like, it
And-
reminded me a
and-
lot of Damian Maia and Tyron Woodley. Like, it was just desperation and it wasn't fucking happening.
And look, I'm not taking anything here away from Espinoza. Jordan did a fantastic job of defending the takedown,
Absolutely.
blasting the fuck out of him with elbows. But on the other side of that, I do have to give Mark credit. He had an iron fucking head that night, because
He took it,
as many
yeah.
shots as he took, he didn't get put away, but he looked fucking horrid.
Yeah,
like,
he
didn't
earned
look
his
like
dinner.
He even belonged in the UFC during that fight. He looked like go to fucking King of the Cage or Cage Warriors or something
Right.
like that.
Yeah, he earned his fucking stripes, that's for damn sure, but he shouldn't have had to. He should have been able to game plan around that very fucking easily, but it almost seems like he hasn't trained since we saw him last at all.
Well, the biggest problem is look, the De La Rosa name everybody knows is jiu-jitsu when it comes to those two in the UFC.
Yep.
Neither one of them are stand-up striking gods. Look, even his wife's got better striking than he does, but that's also a different division.
Right.
Different
Set of
opponents.
circumstances, yeah.
Exactly. That's the best way to put it. Different set of circumstances, because I don't want to nix one thing or the other here, but
Right.
Mark looks like his fucking he was only throwing one punch at a time too. Like, if you notice, when he threw more than one punch at a time, he was landing and doing well.
Yeah, he connected more often than not when he would throw at least a 2-shot combo, when he would follow up with more than just that fucking way readable jab.
He just wasn't doing it, so I was like, well, at this point, that's your own fucking fault. I don't feel bad for you. If he would have got the takedown and been able to secure a position, whether it be guard or side control, he definitely would have won the fight, but he couldn't even pull that off, so he deserved all three of those rounds lost that he did.
Yeah, he definitely gave it away. He should have been able to go in there and just fucking dominate, but sadly was not the fucking case.
What's really crazy is I didn't even see like a desperation and Minari roll or anything like that out of him.
No, and he's got that in his toolbox. He could have done some shit like that.
What bothers me about that is, what did his fucking corner tell him between rounds? Did they tell him, hey, you need to go in there this third round and put him away because you're losing the fight miserably? Like, the first round, I could have given him 10-8 on the first round just by how many elbows he landed while he was sitting there trying to fucking take him down.
Yeah.
I mean, because he landed, there couldn't have been more than maybe 10 punches the entire fucking round.
Yeah,
where
easily.
The significant strikes on Espinoza had to have been in the 30s in the first round.
Yeah, he gave it away. Like, you could tell from the very beginning, he didn't make any of the adjustments that even we were able to fucking call out that he needed to make to get his shit back on track. And you just watched it slip out of his fingers from the fucking jump.
I think the only reason I'm so fucking bummed about this fight, not because of the way it played out beautifully. I think I'm more bummed because I know Mark De La Rosa is more capable than what he's showing, but it seems like he's not training to get to that next level.
Bingo. That's my exact problem as well, is that we have seen what Mark De La Rosa is capable of when he actually focuses, and then now we have seen that once you expose a hole in his game, he doesn't bother to fucking patch it, which is a quick trip down the fucking ladder and out the goddamn door. And the shitty thing is he's going to be watching his wife climb up the fucking ladder on his way out. Because she's improving every time we fucking see her. And legitimately patching up all the holes in her game every time one is exposed. Hopefully he gets his shit together. Because otherwise the couple is not going to be a couple in the UFC for much fucking longer, I don't think. He's not going to get a whole lot more chances.
I guess he can become Mrs. De La Rosa.
Right? Yeah, no shit. No shit.
Kind of like
Don't
Mrs.
need-
Japan, same concept.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say
I
we're
was
gonna have
just gonna
another
say
Mr. Van Zant situation going on. Fucking hell. Ugh. But
He just needs to get on TikTok.
right, yeah, that's how it fucking starts. But next one after that, I think this fight has gotten way more praise than it deserved. I thought Andre Philly looked like absolute dog shit. I don't agree that he did more. I think that fight could have legitimately been called a draw. I think it should be embarrassing to both of them. But the fact that Andre Philly not only took that W, but then went to the post-fight press conference and said that he thought he should get the 50 grand for it because he's trying to buy a new house. Like, come on, dude. Come the fuck on. Like, you couldn't get a stoppage. You barely got a lucky fucking decision. And you're going to try and beg for that 50K?
You know, the only thing I can say for that is, gotta sell yourself, and I get that part of it, but that definitely not worth the sell.
Yeah, you got to have something to sell. And he was holding a whole lot of empty fucking hands at the finish line.
That's another case of my shit is gold, everybody else's shit is shit.
Exactly. So, flushing that turd right on down the fucking lane will actually, ironically, bring us to the next floater that we have to fucking talk about. Not to take anything away from Bryce Mitchell, because Bryce Mitchell is a legitimately talented fucking fighter. But if Charles Rosa's performance against Kevin Aguilar was anything to base his career off of, his stint in the UFC might be shorter lived than Mark De La Rosa's. This is another one where it just was not a good fight. And that's not to say that it couldn't have been a good fight, because we did see several great fights that weren't big name fights over the last couple of weeks. This just didn't fucking go anywhere. It never really got good. Every time it started to look like you were getting some momentum, somebody would fall right back into that full-on fucking noob status and then, like, forget what they were going to do. And then, like, you saw the awkward, like, movement, just juddery nonsense from both of them. Send both of those motherfuckers to Bellator. Don't waste any more fucking time. Don't waste any more fucking TV. Let them both go. I'm not saying they can't come back with a little more experience, but at this point, neither one of those motherfuckers are ready for the UFC, and it showed.
What's crazy in that fight to me, Charles Rosa, he did not spend any time trying to get Kevin Aguilar down or keep him down.
Not in the
The
least
dude
bit.
he's a legitimate black belt.
Yeah.
When it comes to jiu-jitsu, he's obviously not as good as a fucking some people, aka one Mr. Bryce Mitchell, who learns twisters from fucking YouTube. But hey,
Oh, shit.
it was a sad thing to see. I'm going, why wasn't he using? Albeit he won the fight, whatever. He
Right.
could have been using his tool bag a lot better than what he did.
He could have
So
made
that
that a
right
hell of a
there.
lot better fight.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Send them both to fucking Bellator. Let them get some fucking
Some fucking
fucking
experience,
retro
man.
experience
Yeah.
with people that with people that are on the same level. They're obviously on the same level as each other. Right now.
Right, yeah. The
You know, with
competition level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
That was fucking ugly.
Yeah, it was bad.
Which I have to throw this in here because I did see it on Instagram this week. Bellator asked, "What is your favorite knockout?" So what did I put in there? MVP getting knocked out by Lima.
Lima, yeah. Get that stanky
Just
leg
fuck
put on him.
MVP.
Yep, I agree. Oh,
I just had to get that out there because it popped up into my head.
no, you're absolutely good, because that will actually bring us into our next short-lived fucking match. ironically enough, for a little bit different of a reason. There wasn't a stanky leg in the co-main event, but it did end very fucking quickly. A little bit of a mixed bag, though, because once again, Carl Robertson missed fucking weight. He came in this time at 190 and a half. He came in last time at 189 and a half. Both times they have scheduled this fucking fight, he has missed weight, and he has had time in between both fights to get his shit together. That being said, this is one of the rare times where a guy missed weight by more than a pound or two, by a couple of pounds, still got the fight, and then that missed weight, that extra weight advantage, didn't help him in the long run.
No.
It was not pretty by any sense of the imagination, but Marvin Vettori got fucking work done quickly. He came in with an ugly fucking pressure style, but you know what? It worked because it got Carl Robertson to the ground and it got him nervous real quick. We have seen time and time again, when you get nervous on the ground with a guy who's sticking to his fucking game plan, you're in trouble immediately. And that's exactly what happened. When Marvin Vettori got Carl Robertson to the ground, he panicked for whatever fucking reason, and Vettori got those gigantic Italian fucking biceps right the fuck around his head, and fucking, it was all she goddamn wrote. Fucking bravo, credit where credit is due, but man, that was ugly.
I think it was brilliant. I don't think it was ugly at all. I think that was the game plan going in, was to make it look ugly with that very forward heavy pressure. Because knowing Carl Robertson missed fucking weight, not once, not twice, but this was the third time, right?
Yeah.
I'm going, guess what? They knew he is way past the peak in training when you can't make weight for the fight. So you pressure the fuck out of him, one or two things are going to happen. He's going to make a mistake or he's going to gas out quickly. And look,
Right.
I have to tip my hat to Vettori and his fucking team, because I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they were doing. And you know what? He left. I will give him credit for this too. He left almost all of the trash talk after the last fucking he missed weight and ended up in the hospital.
Right, yeah.
Like, fuck it. We'll solve it. It's going to be here. I think that's the reason why he took the fight, is because he goes, you know what? This is bullshit. I'm going to show Robertson, because Robertson was running his fucking mouth worse than Vettori was.
Oh, yeah,
Way worse.
undeservedly, too. So I can absolutely see
And
that as well.
Vettori's not, he's not anything to fucking shy away from. That dude's a legitimate fucking contender.
Yeah, he's right up there. He's not number one yet, but he's also still pretty goddamn new in the organization. He's nothing to sneeze at. I completely agree.
I have a feeling his next fight will be between top 10, somewhere in the, no, not a top 10, but in between 10 and 15 on the roster. And I think he deserves it. He's definitely earned that spot to try to put himself in the numbered rankings after this, because he's been doing some really good fucking work. And to be honest, I think that game plan was brilliant. It might have looked ugly to a lot of people, but it was fucking brilliant, and it worked out beautifully.
Yeah, definitely got him the desired result.
less than fucking 5 minutes of work.
Yeah. It was a quick fucking finish, man. That's what I said. Credit where credit is due, for sure. He fucking absolutely got that shit done. The problem is once that was over, oh, that led to one of the most disappointing fucking main events the UFC has put on in a good while. I would say potentially the worst main event we have seen since Adesanya and Romero, and before that, Lewis and Ngannou. This was a fucking trash, garbage fire of a fucking main event in Cynthia Calvillo versus Jessica Ai. Aside from Jessica Ai missing weight, it just looked very much like a certain other lady on the card earlier. From the fucking walkout, there just wasn't the desire, the hunger, the fucking fire in the eyes that you can see when someone walks out, even through the empty fucking apex. When they want it, you can fucking see the passion is there. And for whatever fucking reason, Jessica Ai comes walking out, she's bouncing, but it's blank. There is nobody home. The lights are on, but there's nobody in the fucking house. It looked like she was going through the fucking motions from the get-go. And the bad part is, Calvillo was the same fucking way. Not that either one of them really brought a whole lot of hype to this fucking fight to begin with, but neither one of them looked like they really gave two shits from the time they walked out till the time they got in the octagon. And it was a legitimately unenjoyable main event. Even the fucking commentators were yawning during the fucking fight. It was bad. I'm tired of both of them. The only good thing I will say that came out of this is that even though Calvillo took the nod, that will hopefully put a little bit of fire under Jessica Ai's ass, because then we get to turn around, which we'll talk about a little more later. This coming Sunday, the 21st, we have Submission Underground 15. Uncle Chael is back at it again. And who is in the co-main event spot on Submission Underground 15 this weekend on UFC Fight Pass? But one Jessica Evil Eye stepping in against local Northwestern black belt badass Amanda Lowen. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But Jessica Eye is going directly from getting her ass kicked in the UFC to then potentially getting her ass kicked in Submission Underground. And if there is anything to be said for precedent being set, the last time we saw this exact move was by her opponent, Cynthia Calvillo, 3 Submission Undergrounds ago, where she came in, got a shit fight in the UFC, and then proceeded that weekend to go to Submission Underground, where Danielle Kelly became her fucking daddy in 17 seconds. So, fingers crossed we get a replay of that, because Amanda Lowen is a badass. She is fucking bad. But we'll talk about that more in a little bit. That being said, the the medical suspension list from the wonderful card Saturday might be one of the most unique ones yet.
Before you get into that, I just have one confession.
Yep.
Because I knew that fight was going to be such a dumpster fire, that's when I shut off my fucking fights and stopped watching.
I completely understand. I don't blame you a
my
bit.
main event was the Marvin Vittori Roberson
Yeah.
fight, even though Roberson was a shitbag again.
Right. No, I completely agree with that. So, we've seen on the previous 2 cards in Vegas that these medical suspensions are not quite as full-on batshit crazy as the Florida medical suspensions were, but they were definitely a little what the fuck-ish. So, Gustavo Lopez and Hannah Cyphers, as well as Charles Jourdain, suspended until July 14th. Couple weeks, understandable. Then we get to Gina Mazzani, Anthony Ivy, and Mark De La Rosa, who are all suspended until July 29th. A month and change. Understandable. Kevin Aguilar and the new gentleman Zaruk Adashev, both suspended till August 13th. Weird, but not out of the realm of reality here. But what? Like, no crazy ones? No, like, 9-month ones? No, until somebody sees a doctor and has 9 stitches removed and then verified that they've been removed properly and healed up with silly putty? Or November 15th? Like, they were almost all rational for a fucking change.
Somebody smoking something?
What?
Exactly. That was the exact answer I was looking for, is what?
I mean, we have seen good calls, we have seen bad calls, but these might be the most rational medical suspension calls we have seen yet. Because Carl Robertson got tapped and didn't get a 9-month fucking medical suspension, which I kind of thought there was going to be a weird stipulation in there, but no. So, good on you, Vegas. Maybe they're getting it dialed in a little better. Fingers fucking crossed, because we're going again this weekend. Couple pieces of just regular news here. Not fight announcements, just interesting regular news we've got here. One of the first ones kind of ties directly into the next one here. We found out that over this last weekend, Misha Tate gave birth to a healthy, bouncing baby boy. Her first boy. She already had a girl. Now they have a boy as well. Everybody's healthy, mom and baby. Congrats, mazel tov, all that goodness. Very cool.
The big kicker on that is they didn't make it to the hospital. They did that shit at home.
That was I was gonna say, and then the major props of that story goes to Mr. Tate in this situation. He's not official, but fiance, so whatever. He delivered that fucking baby at home. They didn't make it. They didn't have time to call the ambulance. They were just like, fuck it, here we go. Props. That's fucking serious. The way that ties into the next story, though, is... Excuse me. We knew that Ray Borg had pulled out of the fight for personal reasons. Excuse me. But we didn't know what those personal reasons were when we found out that Ray Borg wasn't going to be on the card after all. We have found out during the course of this week. Turns out Ray Borg, while he was already in Vegas ready to fucking go, got a text from his wife that said that they were having complications with the shunt that his son, who is ill, just had put in, and they weren't sure if he was going to make it through the weekend. So Ray quite literally dropped everything and got in a fucking car and went the fuck home. Exactly the right fucking response. I would fucking go off on anyone who said anything contrary to him doing that. The silver lining.
My heart goes out to him.
Absolutely. The silver lining to that is 2 days after he got home, they got everything under control. Everything is straightened back out. The shunt is now fixed. The child is doing better, and they don't have to go in for emergency surgery like they thought they were going to. Everything is back on track. It was a small minor fluke, but it was serious enough that they had to get him. They had to let him know, and props to fucking Ray Borg for doing like any responsible fucking parent should have, and he literally gave up his fucking UFC moment and everything he'd been working for to get his fucking ass home to make sure he was there with his boy. So anybody who has anything negative to say about Ray Borg pulling out of that fight, you can fuck all the way off. Your opinion is officially invalid forever.
And I will fight you.
Exactly.
Come find me, motherfuckers.
Exactly. Like, Ray Borg is more than just a fighter. He is a good human being, and that is a perfect fucking example of it. I don't think that part of the story is getting enough credit, in my opinion. That's why I wanted to make a point to talk about that real quick.
No, and look, that should go without saying. Nobody should say a fucking word to him. And if the UFC doesn't do the right thing and reschedule that fight as soon as possible,
Yeah.
like in the next 4 weeks,
I was going to say,
they're
there's
fucking wrong.
plenty of openings coming up here. That man deserves to get that fucking one back. Abso-fucking-lutely.
And anybody if anybody understands that shit, as much as I hate to say this, it's Dana White. He's very forgiving when it comes to
Right.
shit like that.
Right. It's a
He
family
understands
situation.
Family comes first.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we're going to be all right, but that part of the story, the reason why it all came apart the way that it did, isn't being talked about enough, and I feel like Ray Borg deserves way more credit for pulling out and handling it the way that he did than he's getting shit for pulling out of another fight. I'm using air quotes for those of you who are listening, because Ray Borg has pulled out of several fights in the past, albeit generally all legitimate reasons, like his son being ill or glass being embedded in his fucking eyeball. But that's not the point. He has pulled out of fights in the past, so there are already people who are taking this as another excuse to get in there and jab at him. And those people can fuck off. That being said, another kind of interesting, very similarly tied together story to Ray's and to Misha's here. We got an announcement on Tuesday of this week that Amanda Nunes is officially considering retirement. And not over any one particular good or bad thing. She literally has said that when she got into MMA, she had a list of goals that she wanted to achieve. She has now been the only fighter in the UFC, male or female, to be a champ and defend both belts more than once. She was the first female champ. She was the first 145 and 135 pound champion. She's the first active double champ. She beat Holly. She beat Ronda. She beat Cyborg. She arguably, I'm using air quotes, beat Valentina. Her legacy at this point, her resume is legitimate as it can fucking get, and it would be completely understandable at this point, seeing as how she has set all of the, is now a multimillionaire and is about to become a parent for the first time herself, with Nina being noticeably bumped out pregnant and about to go into labor in the next couple of weeks. It is completely understandable that this might be the time that Amanda decides that she's got nothing left to prove and she's going to hang it up and go deal with family life, which is where they have been heading all along. But it's going to be interesting to see how we get there, if that's what actually happens here, or if it's just the craziness of the situation with a title defense and then a pregnant wife on, right there in your corner and everything else that life is throwing at her right now, if it's just got her focus shook up a little bit.
What I really think it is, I think it has a lot to do with that whole becoming a parent thing, because that throws a lot of your fucking world into a tailspin, especially the closer it gets to becoming a reality.
Right.
Because at first it's not really a reality, but once you get close to that date, you go, holy shit, what the fuck is gonna happen next?
Yep. Especially when you
Same
saw
personal experience, been down that road. It wasn't a reality until it was like 3 months out. Then I'm going, fuck, those 6 months by went really quick. Son of a bitch. Now what are we gonna do?
Well,
Now, I think that has a lot to do with it. However, look, if she decides to retire, good on her. She's retiring at the top. She's literally taken out legends of the sport.
Yep.
You took out the first ever women's champ. You've taken out the person who knocked off the first ever women's champ. You fucking took out fucking every other. You took out one that everybody thought was going to run through you in Cyborg. You have nothing left to prove. And you put on one hell of a performance against a very tough Felicia Spencer, who, albeit you couldn't put her away, you tried your fucking damnedest. I mean, there's nothing left to prove. There's not another 145 out there right now that I think would come as close as Felicia Spencer would. And Felicia Spencer did not show up for that fight, in my opinion, but still.
OBS has frozen on us again, so I'm going to log out of Zoom and log back in, since that seemed to work last time.
Back. I'll say it. I'm saying it now. This is all your fault, Meter. It's all your fault.
Probably.
This is why. Last night when you weren't on my channel, I did not have the freeze on OBS. This is the Meter curse, as RJ just put it.
Hey, it ain't crackling, so you can fucking deal with it.
Oh, but like I was finishing there, if she retires on top, she's got nothing left else to prove at this point. She's done everything she can. The only other thing that she could do but she'd never make the weight for it, is try to go down and take the 125er from Valentina, but she'd never fucking make 125. She has a hard time cutting to 135.
Yeah, and not to mention, Valentina has kind of settled herself at 125. A first venture down against somebody who's got, what, half a dozen fucking defenses in there, comfortably and assertively, would be a bad move, I think.
Oh, yeah, and Valentina isn't cutting much nowadays to make 125 because she tailored her diet and her training regimen to slowly work down and stay there.
Yeah, she walks around at like 130. So it's like, that's a tough fucking nut to try and crack. But as far as like Amanda goes, like even on the embedded for the last fucking pay-per-view where we saw him following her around and we saw Nina's fucking belly, and then Amanda was talking about how weird it has been in this camp not sparring with Nina, who is usually her main training partner, and they're usually the same size. So now when she's training and Nina's not, she has twice the workout equipment to wear. She's got all her outfits and all Nina's training outfits as well, because Nina can't wear them anymore because she's starting to get prego big. I think that's kind of a little indication that she's noticing the differences in how it's starting to impact her life. That might have been part of what started to spur that thoughts of retirement on as well.
And granted, we'll see, because I think she was also just a spurt of the moment when the media asked her, what are your plans moving forward here?
Right.
And I think that was kind of a, well, I'm not quite sure because I don't know how this kid's going to affect our lives. Look, as much as I hate to say it, kid's going to affect your life in one way, shape, or form. You just have to figure out a way to deal with it and move on. And like the one person I don't think we'll be seeing fighting again is Nina Ansaroff. I don't think she's going to come back.
I agree. I don't think she'll come back.
And
I
albeit, I would not mind seeing her come back. She's not a bad fighter in the women's division.
Right, yeah, not at all. But I think they're kind of tailoring this, at least from what they've said so far, is that Nina is essentially going to become a stay-at-home mom. Amanda has made more than enough money, aside from the money that Nina made, because Nina was a amateur and then professional fighter as well. They have both got more than enough money.
Well in the UFC.
Yeah, no, they have both got more than enough money now that if they want to just both be stay-at-home parents, they are perfectly capable of that. If they want Amanda to keep fighting while Nina stays home, which is kind of what she has indicated she's intending to do, they are more than capable of doing that as well. So it's really just all up in the air to see how they are particularly impacted once this baby gets here.
Like, we'll know for sure within the next 12 months. I'll say
I agree.
A year seems like a long time to say that out, but bringing a kid into the world and having to fucking learn how to deal with that and adjust your schedules and how you need to adjust things to make your life work properly, it takes a good year. So you'll know for sure whether she's coming back to stay on track to fight within a year. I mean, she's fought, what, twice in the last 8 months, right?
Yeah.
Once at 135 and then once at 145.
Yep.
Who knows? We might see her again in another 6 months even, depending on how she's feeling. But it's going to depend on what happens when that baby's born.
Yeah, that's going to be the big one. And it's almost here, so we'll find out pretty quick how hard that's going to impact him, I think. But moving along from there, we have got a small amount, not nearly as bad as it's been recently, but a small list of fights that have been announced since we talked to you fine folks last. The first one that I'm going to talk about here, they confirmed, it was originally a rumor, they confirmed it as of this week. Not only is the fight confirmed, it will be the main event for our second ever Combat Compatriot live stream. July 15th, the Wednesday from Fight Island, will be headlined by one Calvin Kattar versus Dan Ige. That card, while I have to say is not quite as stacked as the card before it, because the card before it is going to be UFC 251, so I get it, the pay-per-view's getting all the fucking fun stuff, but our Combat Compatriot show will have some pretty damn good fights on it, and that's going to be a very fucking good main event, I think. So the next one I want to talk about real quick is going to be on the following Saturday card, the July 25th Fight Island card. As of right now, it's rumored to be the co-main event. Apparently, there's still some fine-tuning going on with these Fight Island cards, even as close as we fucking are to them now. But as of right now, it is rumored to be the co-main event, potentially main, depending on how it works out. Justin Tafa is taking on Rafael Paseo. That is going to be a fucking very interesting prospect heavyweight fight. Those boys are both very, very hot right now as far as careers going for young UFC heavyweights. It's going to be real interesting to see how those two fucking shake loose. August 15th, they do not have a name for the card or a location yet, because at this point they're building cards and finding where they can fucking put them on. If nothing else, we've always got the Apex in Vegas. But they announced a duo of fights that will be going down on that card. The first one is the rematch that was made and canceled and now will be remade of Ian Cutelaba versus Magomed, so the fucking Wobblegate situation can finally get fucking cleared up. But that is going to be doubled up by a fight that everyone is actually going to want to watch, regardless of the names or the placement on the card. Because this is the one that, as of now, they are looking to have headline that August 15th card. Junior Dos Santos stepping into the cage with Jairzinho Rosenstruik, which I think is going to be a spectacular fucking fight as well, because both of those gentlemen really, really need this fucking win to come out of this and still stay relevant in the top of that fucking division, especially when you've got Cutelaba and Magomed coming in that potentially are going to be throwing heavy fucking leather there. They both need that win, and I think a good win for either one of them there can salvage what is a very bad time in both of their careers at the moment. Interesting kind of last minute, but not really last minute announcement. Late edition, as it were, officially. But we do know now that July 19th on UFC Fight Pass will be EBI, I think it's 13. The Jiu-Jitsu Overtime. It will be a 16-man tournament. Rear naked choke shootout is what they're calling it, as well as some individual single matches as well. One of those individual singles matches, everyone's favorite atomweight grappler, the daddy of Cynthia Calvillo herself, Danielle Kelly, will be on that card as well. Aside from that being a badass card, that's even more reason to tune in. Now, moving towards some of these closer but still beyond Fight Island cards that they're starting to put together now, we've got a couple of interesting announcements. The August 1st card, Caitlin Vieira versus Yana Kunitskaya, which really kind of feels like it might be the last straw, last-ditch effort, as it were, for the UFC to keep Kunitskaya alive. She is kind of the Russian Dollar General version of Paige Van Zant, and she doesn't seem to understand that as well as the rest of the world does. Because when she gets in the cage, at least Paige is entertaining. Kunitskaya, not so fucking much. Caitlin Vieira is a very, very talented young fucking prospect, and at this point, it kind of feels almost like they're throwing Kunitskaya to the younger fighter in an attempt to shit or get off the pot, sweetheart. Time to either fucking do something and earn your keep, or find your way over to fucking PFL or Bellator.
What boggles my mind with her? This is what boggles my mind. She's dating somebody who put on probably one of the greatest performances against John Jones other than Gustafsson in Mr. Santos.
Yep.
And I'm saying, you have that badass of a motherfucker in your corner that trains with you
And can't translate.
Still look like dog shit.
Yeah. None of that comes over by osmosis or just sheer fucking absorption from being around it. Nothing.
Apparently, you guys need to spar so he can teach you what to do.
Something. Fuck. But the next interesting one that they announced for the following week after that, the August 8th card, we now know confirmed the main event announced as of yesterday. Derek the Black Beast Lewis is stepping in against the dad body constrictor himself, Alexei Oleinik. Main event August 8th. That could be very, very fucking interesting with the way Derek Lewis has literally started to transform himself from a dude who was 300 fucking pounds cutting to make 265 to a gentleman who is now walking around at 158 with no cut. There's something to be said about the fucking progress that Derek Lewis has been making since he has started to take this shit seriously. And that's not to discredit the dad body constrictor, because that motherfucker is always dangerous. But he is also almost 50. Derek Lewis is hitting his fucking stride real good. He's in the best shape he has ever fucking been in. I think that's going to be a hell of a fucking main event.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, because I think that's all going to depend on whether old boa constrictor can get his fucking hands around him. Because if he can, I don't think Derek Lewis has an answer for it. But
Yeah, it's
good luck getting your hands on somebody who fires fucking rockets.
That's what I was going to say. He also still has to get his hands around Derek Lewis, too, and we've seen that be problematic for some of the best.
So as I saw that fucking one pop up this week, I decided to scroll through the comments of where I saw it pop up at.
Uh-oh.
And somebody brought up another good point, which I don't know if I fully agree with or not, but it seems like it might be the case. Somebody said the UFC is sure trying to protect Derek Lewis a lot. But no, they're fucking not.
Not really. Like,
He's had some fucking tough fights.
yeah, he's kind of been thrown at it all the way along the board. The closest thing you could really say he had to an easy fight was that fucking DC match that he said they backed a truckload of fucking money
And that
up to
wasn't
his house to
even
get
an
him.
easy fight for him, because he wasn't not ready.
Exactly. Like,
I mean, you look at every fight he's been in so far, outside of the one fluke that both him and Ngannou had together.
I was gonna say that one gets a fucking an asterisk put next to
When
it.
you're doing statistics, what they call that an outlier for a reason.
Yep.
That shit doesn't normally happen.
Yeah, that's a mathematical anomaly.
When I saw that person thing, I was like, maybe he's right. And then I thought about someone going, you know what? No, you're fucking dead wrong. You're obviously a filthy fucking casual who doesn't understand the caliber of fighter that this guy's fighting. I mean,
Right.
Not to mention they're heavyweights. Any one punch from any fucking heavyweight, even somebody who's the boa constrictor, who's not known as a striker, can still put your ass to sleep just because they're that big. That's how it fucking works. Lights go off. That whole fucking physics lesson, mass velocity,
Right.
shit happens.
Yep. And sometimes it's a bad time to be the example in an equation like that.
Exactly.
Also, like, regardless of what people say, unless like it's a one punch fucking knockout 7-second type shit, no fucking fight is easy. If you're getting fucking punched, kicked in the face, grabbed, that's just not fucking easy. Get the fuck out of here.
I agree. We did kind of briefly mention it earlier, but I do want to confirm here. They have announced officially, we knew it was a rumor, talked about, speculated. It is now official, even though we kind of grazed over it earlier. July 18th, the second Saturday card, excuse me, on Fight Island will be headlined by Davison Figueiredo versus Joseph Benavidez, the rematch for the currently vacant 125 belts. Just wanted to make a point to mention that, because the following Saturday, the third Saturday card on Fight Island, July 25th, we got confirmation just today, officially speaking. It will be headlined by one Robert the Reaper Whittaker versus Darren Till, which I think is going to be another spectacular fight, so long as Till can dial back his excitement on the Mike Perry front a little bit.
Look, I'm just saying I'm so excited about this fight for one reason. Those two said all they wanted to do was drink beer together before the fight.
Yep.
And then go out and do it afterwards. I'm like,
Yep.
You know what? I'm like, that's the kind of fight I want to see. Two guys that just want to go out and get pissed up beforehand, have some fun, cut weight the day before, and fucking get pissed up afterwards.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, that's got great potential to be a cool fucking fight.
oh yeah. Not to mention, uh, look, I don't care if Darren Till pulls back on the Mike Perry shit. That shit is fucking hilarious. If you guys don't understand what we're talking about, you need to go and look up Darren Till's Instagram page and his Twitter and see how many different ways he has fucked with Mike Perry. It is fucking great. Mike Perry has him blocked on like 4 different
I
accounts
was
now
going to
or
say, I
something
think
like
4
that.
accounts. Plus, Darren Till actually made a website called MikePerryIsABum.com.
Yeah, dude,
It's
shit's
not a great.
fucking
It's
hilarious.
not a great website. Don't go there expecting to see a fucking like GoDaddy advertisement, but it is a website and it is fucking hilarious. And the fact that he has made multiple troll accounts just to bust Mike Perry's balls, I fucking love.
Fucking great. No. Darren Till is a funny motherfucker, dude.
He's holding Perry's feet to the fucking fire here. Like, you want to be a
Nope.
shit talker? Cool, I can do that too. Let's play.
If he really could string a bunch of wins together, that dude would be making a fucking killing right now. He's had a couple of rough fights in there, but that dude, to be honest, his star power has not gotten where it should be yet, in my
No,
opinion.
I agree. There's more potential there. There's more to work with there, I think.
Oh yeah.
So, the last 2 I've got here, as far as news go, are both actually not fight announcements, but fight retractions of sort. The first one, Ian Heimisch, despite trying to do a short notice turnaround, has actually had to pull out due to injury from this weekend. Instead, facing Brandon Allen will be a newcomer making his debut into the UFC, Kyle Dokos. He is 9-0 coming in from LFA. He is a very legitimate contender with a very, very, very big reputation coming in behind him. Brandon Allen, again, is no slouch, but this is one of those situations where it's time to see when the metal hits the fucking road. Did you put in a camp to be a good fighter, or did you put in a whole camp just to train against one guy? Because we know fighters who do both, and generally speaking, the guys who put in a camp to be their best version of themselves come fight night do the best when a situation like this comes up, versus the guys who spend their whole camp training for that one opponent, and then some shit happens last minute and they are completely in the fucking woods. This is one of those situations where we get to see exactly how much Brandon Allen has been preparing and how he has been preparing for this fight. Then we've got the weird one, and this is a bit of a weird one here. Matt Frivola, one of the prelim fighters, very, very, very hot prospect as well, is actually out of this weekend's card, not because of anything that he did, but because one of his cornermen, Billy Quarantillo, he corrected us, Quarantillo, after fighting 2 weeks ago and having 4 different negative tests for the Backstreet Boys, just yesterday tested positive in Vegas as a cornerman for Matt Frivola. They tested him again. He came up positive again. They have tested Matt Frivola 4 times since Billy has come up positive. All 4 times, Matt has come negative. The UFC still will not let him fight because of the circle of people that they have been involved in, because of the possible incubation time. The UFC is not taking any chances. This is not like it was with Ian Heimisch 2 weeks ago, where his cornerman got a positive test, and then it turns out that that was a false positive test followed by 3 immediate negative tests from different sources, so they were able to verify that was a random false positive. This was 2 multiple positive tests in a row, and they're not taking any fucking chances here. So, unfortunately, Matt Frivola is out of this weekend's card. Unfortunately, much like the Ian Heimisch situation started due to a corner man. That, however, will bring us into the actual breakdown, the meat and potatoes, as it were, segment of the show. So before we get into what is being dubbed the UFC Fight Night Vegas 3 card coming up this weekend, I do want to take just a little bit of a moment here to talk real quick about Sunday's UFC Fight Pass shown Submission Underground 15. Three things to note about the card. Just kind of quick, give it a nice once over, get it out of the way. First and foremost, there is an 8-man absolute style open tournament going on this card. Winner of this 8-man tournament gets $10,000 cash and then a guaranteed paid spot on Submission Underground 16 against Craig Jones one-on-one. Because Craig Jones is the man to beat in Submission Underground right now. The winner of this 8-man tournament gets 10 grand cash and then a guaranteed paid spot against Craig on Submission Underground 15. That's going to be interesting to watch all unto itself. On top of that, we've got what I kind of alluded to earlier, Jessica I coming in to take on the local PNW badass that is Amanda Lowen. To be fair, I say it all the time, and I'll keep fucking saying it, no matter how much I dislike a person, and I dislike Jessica I try to give credit where credit is due. Jessica I has been a part of Submission Underground since SUG number 2, where she took on Misha Tate in a very, very interesting match that I would encourage you to go back and watch just for the sake of combat knowledge. That being said, once you're done with that, look up Amanda Lowen and then pick your jaw up from your lap and stop giggling, because this is a real match that we're going to see this Sunday. Amanda is really going to get in there with Jessica, and we're going to see the outcome of this. I have so little doubt in my mind that Amanda is going to have a very Cynthia Calvillo, Danielle Kelly-esque moment here. I don't think this is going to get to overtime, because the nice thing about Submission Underground is they use EBI rules. You have a standard time round, and then you have a series of overtime rounds in starting positions, like an EBI would. I don't believe we're going to need the overtime here. I am fairly confident that Amanda Lowen is going to do fucking work and get Jessica out of there fairly quickly. The other one, real quick, that I want to talk about is a bit of an oddball here. The winner of the 8-man tournament from this card gets the guaranteed spot as well as the money on the Submission Underground 16 card to face off against Craig Jones. But as to not get rusty between now and then, Craig Jones is also competing on Submission Underground 15, but a little bit more of an oddball match compared to what we've seen him match up with and going against in his recent ones, where you've got the Vinny Magalhaes, for fuck's sake, coming up against him. Now we've got somebody a little more on the other end of the grappling spectrum. We have got Gabriel Zangief Checo coming in to step in against Craig Jones this weekend, and if you have not seen Zangief, he will fucking ragdoll just about anyone you put in front of him, because he is that strong motherfucker, as well as a very high-level black belt. The problem is he's stepping in against Craig, who is arguably one of the world's most predominant black belts, albeit specializing or focusing mainly on leg locks. This is going to come down, in my opinion, to a matter of, can Gabriel get in there and impose his game plan in the regulation time period? Because if he makes it to the overtime section, that gives every advantage to Craig Jones to get in there and either choke you the fuck out or rip your fucking leg right off your body until you scream like a little fucking Michael Chiesa girl. I don't know that he's going to get Zangief's leg. What I will say is, if he does, he's going to earn it. Because Zangief is strong, he is quick, and he is smart. So if Craig can get him, he's going to earn him. But I think Gabriel's going to make him fucking work for it.
You know, I'm pretty sure we said the same thing about Craig Jones' last fight about, I'm not sure he's going to get the leg because somebody else is really good at leg locks and understands the business. Look, I think he gets the fucking leg. I'm calling it.
There's a damn
I'm
good
saying
chance.
he gets it done. It's gonna be tough, but I bet you he gets it. I guarantee. In fact, I'll guarantee it. That dude is a sneaky, masterful leg locking having motherfucker.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Hashtag fuck Craig Jones. But for those of you who are as into the competition grappling as we tend to get, Sunday night's going to be a real good fucking card to watch. And for those of you who aren't into it yet, Sunday night's going to be a real good card to watch to give yourself an idea of what you might want to start paying attention to.
Not to mention, I mean, it is Chael Sonnen's event, so I mean, you're gonna get to listen to Chael talk, and that's worth it all in itself.
That's the piece de resistance to the whole fucking thing, is that Chael's a one-man commentating crew on his own event here, so you get exactly what you fucking need to make this enjoyable.
I'm so glad he figured out a way to make that shit work during lockdown and everything else.
I love it. Yeah, he did. He went through a lot of work and he went through a lot of fucking hoops to make it all fucking happen. Had to change contracts, had to change locations, had to change everything about how it's done, but he fucking did it. And he has kept, even while the UFC was working on trying to keep things going and had to take a hiatus between events, Chael did not miss a fucking beat because he's been able to do this safely and efficiently the entire fucking time. So it's absolutely fucking hats off to Uncle Chael for that one. That being said, though, that's going to bring us to the actual namesake, the reason for the season, the reason we are doing this particular episode here. UFC Fight Night on ESPN 11 / UFC Fight Night Vegas 3 / UFC Fight Night Blaydes Vs Volkov. I know, these fucking names don't get any better. That being said, this one, for being another fight night and being kind of sandwiched in between pay-per-views, as well as kind of being a rush to get thrown back together match so we've got more going on consistently, is not the worst card we have seen. I was actually talking about this with this one guy that used to come on the show, Ned something. Ned Devon? I don't
Never
remember.
heard of it.
He's one of those guys that rants about white people on social media nowadays. But I was just talking with him about this the other day, in that from the time we came back after Backstreet Boys, obviously that pay-per-view starting it off is always going to be the big one, but there's kind of always a shit curve, as I like to refer to it, after the pay-per-view events. The next card is almost always horrible. It's just kind of makeup fights. But then there's a slow uptick until you get back to the next pay-per-view event. Usually the cards right before the pay-per-view event are almost as good, but not quite. They're missing that headline pop and pizzazz they put on UFC pay-per-view cards, but the rest of the card are generally pretty good. And we're not quite there, but we're getting there. And you can see how bad last week's card was, and compared to last week, how much better this week's card is than that. And then if you keep looking forward, how much better next week's card is than this week's card, until we get in 3 more weeks to Fight Island and the next pay-per-view event that we've got. That being said,
3 in a row.
Yeah, that I was gonna say, and then we've got a whole fucking shitload of crazy shows, but we'll get to those in good time. So for now, the first one I want to talk about here on the prelims for the Vegas 3 card is the interesting ladies fight they're going to potentially be now opening the card with, since everything else has gotten shifted around all crazy. Roxanne Modafferi versus Lauren Murphy. This is a very interesting fight for a couple of different reasons here. Both of these women really need this win in particular to kind of put a stamp, if you will, on their upward momentum. The difference is how they will be able to do it, because these are two very different but very capable fighters in their own realm. The difference here is that they both really only shine in their realm. For Roxanne Modafferi, she is the happy warrior. She is the jiu-jitsu mom. If she gets you to the ground, she's gonna work you. The problem is she doesn't have the greatest stand-up. She's working on it. I'll give her credit. She's working on it. But it's not good. It needs work. But then you got, on the opposite side of her, Lauren Murphy, who is a pretty fucking stout striker and has a pretty damn good chin, but tends to fall apart when she gets put on the ground. And that's what Roxanne is going to want to do. That's her fucking wheelhouse here. So I think this one is going to come down to, where does the fight end up? If Lauren can keep it on the feet, I have every confidence that she can piece Roxanne up. But if Roxanne can get her to the ground, she's getting tapped or choked the fuck out. There's no two ways about it.
Stylistically, this is a great fight for fucking Roxanne.
Yeah.
Period. Because Murphy is very heavy-handed.
Yep.
So all she's got to do is get her timing down. But when she sees that timing's right, fucking counter with a fucking quick double leg, she'll put her right on her fucking ass. Because Lauren does like to strike heavy, which is, hey, it is what it is.
Right? It works.
Lauren can't fucking do it. Although, the weirdest thing, every time I see Roxanne fight, she is the Stephen Wonderboy Thompson of the women's flyweight division. She never says anything bad about anybody. Like, she doesn't talk shit. She just says, yep, I've got a job to do, blah, blah, blase, blase, and moves on about her business. And she got I'll say a solid win, albeit against an opponent who blew her fucking ACL, but that's part of the fight game. While you're in the ring, you blow your shit up, guess what? I don't think that was going to help Macy Barber anyways, but, fuck her, because I don't like her attitude. As much as I love fighters from Wisconsin, because that's the home state, that bitch. No,
that's the catch-22, though, because fuck her.
That's fuck her, exactly. But if Lauren Murphy can manage to stop Roxanne's takedowns, it's Lauren's fight to lose in that case. But I really think, purely because of how striking heavy Lauren Murphy is, I think Roxanne gets it to the ground and pounds her a little bit till she finds an opening for a fucking rear naked and finishes her with a rear naked.
I'm inclined to agree with that.
Yeah. Pretty much running off of what y'all said. Both of them need a W because they're to keep their name kind of afloat in the women's flyweight division. Because Roxanne hasn't been doing too terribly hot. She's won a couple fights in a pretty decent fashion, but nothing extremely highlight reel worthy. Same thing goes with Lauren Murphy. If Roxanne can keep a distance and let Lauren fucking throw some bombs, and she gets that timing down, like TJ said, double leg down to the ground, do some fucking work. But with that being said, Lauren could fucking pull something out of her ass and train specifically for a Roxanne fight, knowing that she's gonna be taken down to the ground, and some shit could be interesting. But I see it going to Roxanne because she's pretty quick on her feet whenever she goes in for takedowns, and she really doesn't translate going into takedowns that often. So I'd say Roxanne takes that one.
Most important question of this entire fight, though, that we have failed to mention here. How does Roxanne come dressed for fucking weigh-ins? Is she gonna have the Vegeta hair, the Goku Super Saiyan? What's she gonna do? What's our bets here, guys?
I'm going Broly this time. I think she's going green hair because she's done the Vegeta, she's done the Majin Vegeta, she's done the Goku. I think she's going Broly. I think we see green hair Roxanne this time.
I can see that. What I want to see is her come out painted all fucking green
Fucking piccolo that shit.
Little piccolo that
Right?
shit.
Little fucking antenna coming out. Yeah.
I'm going, that's what I'm calling. I don't know if she'll do it, but that's what I want to see. Buy one of those little fake rubber caps so she can paint
Right.
it all green.
Swimming caps.
Fucking hair under there. I mean, she's nerdy enough to do it. I mean,
I was gonna
she's
say
nerdy.
she would be the one to do it too. Yeah, absolutely.
It's gonna be something though. I just had to put that out there because that was probably the most important part of that entire fight.
Right, absolutely. So, next one I want to take just a quick moment to talk about. There's not really a whole lot to break down, but it does bear mentioning here. Quick turnaround fight. We've had a lot of people trying to work on these. We've actually got 2 of them on the card this evening. This one I think is going to be not necessarily the most exciting because of the styles, but I think because it is a quick turnaround fight, it's going to be worth watching. That is Courtney Casey stepping in, quick turnaround against Jillian Robertson. Now, Jillian Robertson is one of those that literally every fucking time her name comes up on a card we talk about, the first thing that comes to mind is inconsistent. She is one of those girls that we use as an example of who are we going to see. Because every other fight, she's hot, she's cold. She's hot, she's cold. She's great, she's shit. She's great, she's shit. There is no rhyme or reason. On the other hand, Courtney Casey has had a bit of a rough road. She's definitely back on track now and starting to make progress, but she had a fucking rough road just to get to a point to be able to fight Jillian Robertson on a fucking prelim card. That being said, her last fight against Barella was quick and fucking efficient, which is how she got this quick turnaround. And if she can put quick work on Jillian Robertson the way that she did on Barella last time, I think that's going to give her the confidence and the momentum she needs to start looking after ladies with numbers on the end of their fucking name. If she can get past Jillian Robertson. We'll see.
Courtney Casey, kind of strange here. She's hot and cold just like Jillian Robertson is. However, what blows me away is why is her nickname Cast Iron? When Cast Iron is not very good at going from hot to cold to hot to cold to hot to cold. They generally hold heat really well or they hold cold really well.
Right? Irony.
But there's a fucking irony to that nickname.
And I mean, it cracks extremely easily under some pressure.
Yeah, I'm just saying, a little fucking crazy there, but hey, you can call me crazy if you want. It's fine.
I mean, the craziest name is Platinum Mike Perry. Shit.
That motherfucker's aluminum. I don't care what anybody
That's
says.
what I was going to say. I think you're reading the wrong label.
There's some days that I think he might be Mercury because that motherfucker can't even get stiff unless somebody puts him out.
And if you've seen his social media lately, apparently he got in a flat-out motherfucking fist fight. Yesterday, he got that big old split goose egg in the middle of his fucking forehead. His whole hand's all fucking busted up. His nose that he just got fucking fixed by the fucking UFC is crooked again. Like...
Man, glad you got that plastic surgery there, Mike.
Right? Good thing the UFC is going to take care of it when fucking Mickey Gall bashes it in again in a couple fucking weeks.
I hate fucking Mickey Gall, too. That's a no-win fight for me. Those two can both fuck off.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to get excited about for that one.
So, yeah, the Courtney Casey, Jillian Robinson, I honestly don't give 2 fucks about that fight. It's what we're going to see is one's going to be an ice cube. The other one's going to be a fucking frying pan that's been on the stove way too long.
Right.
It's just going to be a shit show.
Yeah, I don't. It's not really much of a big fight. If Courtney Casey can come in off the first round submission she got in her last fight, if she can come off that, keep some energy, keep some momentum going, fucking good for you.
Yep.
Good for you. Get back on your feet, keep fucking going, man.
Yep.
But
that's kind of the way that I see it. Is if she can get in here, because there's a reason she and one other person here got a quick turnaround. Because the last time we saw them, they were able to go in and put fucking work down quickly. if she can go in there and do that against fucking Robertson here, not only is she going to look even better than she did against fucking Barella, but that's going to be 2 quick ones in a row with a quick turnaround that's going to make her look that much fucking better, in my opinion. If she can do it.
Yeah, if she can do it, fucking props. Hats off to you, man.
Yep. But that's going to bring us to the, air quotes for those listening, premier prelim event for this particular card. And it's actually a pretty fucking good one here. Clay Guida versus Bobby Green. Now, both of these gentlemen are coming off of a loss. Both of these gentlemen really need this win. The difference here is that Bobby Green has not been around long enough to become the household staple that Clay Guida is. Clay Guida has been around long enough and has put on enough performances of the caliber we know he's capable of that he's almost allowed a fuck-off fight every now and again. And not that that's what the last one was by any stretch of the imagination, because Jim Miller wrapped him the fuck up with the quickness and authority. But in the record of Clay Guida's career, we have seen him take fights like that in stride and come back the next time and look like he never missed a fucking beat. If there was a time for Clay to do that, this is that fucking time, because that Jim Miller, there was no dishonor or no loss of value, in my opinion, from that Jim Miller fight. That was Jim Miller being the fucking stud that he is, coming out, using his goddamn jiu-jitsu like a boss, and ending the fight quickly without having to deal or take much fucking punishment. That's kind of the ideal way for a fight to go from a fighter's point of view. Nobody had to get hurt. Nobody had to take a lot of pain. The fight ended. Everyone was okay afterwards, and it was amicable. I don't know that this fight's going to end that way. I think this is one of those situations where Bobby Green understands that if he wants to really have a future in the UFC, he kind of has to win this fucking fight, because getting a win over Clay Guida does carry a lot of weight behind it. But at the same time, being a rebound fight like this, so to speak, for Clay, he's almost expected to beat Bobby Green. Not that he can't. He absolutely is 100% capable, by all means. But he's almost expected at this point to either beat Bobby Green or start considering that long walk towards the back. I don't think Clay is ready to hang him up. He's no spring chicken by any sense of the imagination, but I don't think he's staring at the flag on 18 quite yet either. He's been around for a while, absolutely. But there's a reason guys like Clay Guida are still around, because they're very fucking capable. I think this is Clay Guida's fight to lose. I think if he can go in there and fight smart, Bobby Green is not a soup can, but he's not a high-level fighter either. I think if Clay can go in there and fight smart and stay with the game plan, he can take this. But I think if he goes in there and he gets reckless and he tries to get crazy like he kind of did with Jim Miller, I think we're going to see a similar ending, but I don't think he's going to get choked out like Jim did. I think if he goes in there sloppy and crazy, I think Bobby puts him to fucking sleep. I hope I'm wrong, but if Clay gets crazy, man...
Look, here's the one thing I will say. Don't expect a boring fight here.
No, not at all.
On this card, this does have possibility of fight of the night written on it.
Oh, yeah.
Or performance of the night
Depending.
coming out somewhere here.
Yeah.
Purely, look, no matter how many times we've seen Clay Guida get put down, that motherfucker comes back with a vengeance. Like, you look at, if anybody's ever had the chance to go look at training videos of this dude in the gym, he trains in the gym like he fights. Fucking just wild, crazy, fast-paced, no fucking stop. That dude is a fucking stud. When it comes to just, he's probably got some of the best cardio in all of MMA, period. I think that's a very arguable point there, that he may have the best cardio in the game. And I expect nothing but fucking crazy Clay Guida, just fucking brushing shit out, fucking hair out of my eyes the whole fucking fight, because I can't keep it back. And the the other side is you got a hungry Bobby Green that, I mean, after that fucking last loss he took, he's gonna be hungry coming in here. But I don't know that Bobby Green is gonna be able to deal with the pace that Clay Guida sets. Because his cardio is not as good as Guida's, not by any standard. Guida keeps one of the fastest paces in all of MMA. If that thing goes anywhere into deep territory, Bobby Green's in some trouble because that's a fucking hell of a pace. There's no other fighter that does that. Not even in the fucking bantamweight divisions. Go look at Go look at him. Compare him to some of the bantamweight fighters. You're not going to see that same pace. It's fucking crazy. And at a lightweight, nonetheless. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Now, my thing with Bobby Green is he's hungry, but is he going to come in hungry just to get the win, or is he going to fight smart? Because if you come in just wanting that W because you need it, your career needs it, you need that paycheck, you have against somebody like Clay Guida, you you're going to do something stupid and you're going to catch that L that day. Now, Meter said he's not on hole 18. Nah, he's only on 17. Clay's been fighting since '03. You're talking about somebody that's got a lot of fucking miles, that has a lot of fucking uh, like experience in the cage, fight IQ through the roof. But man, Meter said he's not ready to retire, and I don't think he is. But this year or into next year, I think he's gonna start thinking about it because he's been fighting professionally since 2003. That's a long fucking time to take fucking punches to the face, man.
He is pushing that 40 mark. You're very right.
Yep.
He's, what, 38 right now, if
30,
I'm not
I
mistaken?
think he's going to turn 39, yeah.
Yeah, he's been fighting professionally since '03. He's been in some fucking hell of wars in MMA. I mean, man, Clay, I love him as a fighter. I love his energy and how he fights and everything. But this year or next year, I don't want to say it, but I'd like to see him retire for health reasons because 17 years of fighting, that'll put a fucking hurting on you.
Right.
I have a feeling when he retires, you know what I think he's going to end up being? He's going to be a CrossFit junkie.
I can see that. I can absolutely see that. He's that type of fucking dude. Yeah.
Where he cardio for days and like, get as many reps as possible. Let's fucking go.
That, or he's gonna go fucking Ninja Warrior Titan Games fucking avenue. He's gonna become one of those dudes because he's got legitimate full total body fucking tone. He could do pretty fucking well on some of those fucking Ninja Warrior fucking Rocks Titan Games kind of fucking shows as well.
American Ninja Warrior, here comes Clay Guida.
Yeah, man, you better look the fuck out, because he could put a rubber band in his hair to do that shit. He doesn't have to worry about the mop blinding him while he's going out through obstacles. Oh, but that will bring us into the meat and potatoes section of the meat and potatoes portion of this particular episode, the main card. They are not fucking around with this main card. Each one of these fights on this main card could have legitimately been a main event for a fight night of this caliber. That being said, they're opening up with the motherfucking hotness. Again, another quick turnaround, but this might be the oh shit quick turnaround here. Roosevelt Roberts coming off of that quick fucking win, this time stepping in against a man making his 35th appearance in the UFC octagon, now retying for the second highest number of UFC fights, one Jim fucking Miller, ladies and gentlemen. I will say this. I think Roosevelt Roberts has a lot of fucking potential. I think that kid has a very bright future if he keeps his head on his shoulders and stays at it. That being said, I don't think he has a fucking prayer stepping in against a slick motherfucker like Jim Miller, especially since he's going to get to come out after he watches the man that he just tapped come out to fight before him, coming out knowing that he is reaffirming himself as the number 2 most performed UFC fighter, knowing that he is Jim fucking Miller, coming in against a new guy trying to take him for his fucking name. I give Roosevelt Roberts all the credit in the fucking world for taking this fight, but I think it was a very, very poor decision on his part. Stylistically and experience-wise, this benefits Jim Miller in fucking spades. There is, as we say, always the puncher's chance, but I think in this situation, that's the only chance Roosevelt Roberts has. I think Jim Miller is too slick, he's too smart, and he's too quick all the way around to get caught up here. I think unless he really throws it the fuck away and fucks up, this is Jim Miller's fight to lose.
You know, I'm very inclined to agree with you on this. The only thing that has me worried, but we haven't seen it in a while, is Jim Miller's chin is coming into question as of in the last couple of years. Probably because of all of the road mileage he's had.
Well, and even then, whenever it's been tested, it wasn't like he got caught with a clip and he was worried. It was, whenever we've seen Jim Miller's chin get tested, it's tested to the fucking max, and it's held out pretty fucking well, especially compared to some of his fellows in that division.
Well, yeah, you look, he's been around the UFC for how many fucking years now? I mean, he's been around for as long, if not longer, than Clay Guida, if I remember correctly.
They're real close, yeah.
That dude, his fight IQ at this point is so fucking good that I think that's what tips the scale in his favor against Roberts. Roberts is still wet behind the ears when it comes to the UFC.
Very.
I really think that that's going to be the tipping point is that fight IQ. And to be honest, Miller's on a bit of a tear. He's on a 2-fight win streak. Been a while since we've seen one of those out of him. Let's see if he can make it 3. I would love to see him take one more run at it. I'd love to see one more run out of him.
I'm absolutely on board with that as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna go like fucking across the board and agree with that. Roosevelt has potential being a UFC fighter. He's had some pretty fucking good fights, some fantastic performances for the couple of years that he's been in the UFC. He's learning extremely quickly, and his performance is fucking top notch, but his performance isn't anywhere near the level or the caliber of Jim Miller. I mean, he has a chance, but it's fucking next to none, man. Yeah, I want to. It'd be great to see fucking Miller come out and fucking put some work in and show people, especially new guys, like if you keep fucking grinding, this this will be you in 2 or 3 years. If you keep your fucking face off the mat and keep fucking busting ass, yeah, you can do some shit like this.
Hell yeah. So, that will bring us to the next match on the card. Belal Muhammad versus Lyman Good. This is an interesting matchup. These two gentlemen are stylistically very similar. Size-wise, however, they are very different. Belal Muhammad is not the biggest guy height-wise. He's one of those shorter, wider, more muscular dudes versus Lyman Good, who is very much one of the taller, rangier gentlemen for that division. Still absolutely in great shape, but the taller, rangier guys versus the shorter, more compact, more muscular guys tend to make for interesting matchups, especially when they're very similar in styles like these two are. The real difference, in my opinion, here is going to be the experience, much like in that Jim Miller versus Roosevelt Roberts fight. Bilal Muhammad, while he's kind of a little bit of a household name at this point, it's because since he's been in the UFC, he's kind of only gotten recognizable, maybe not the top, but recognizable names in his way up this journey versus Lyman Good, who has been around for a while and kind of had to work his way through the soup can field for a bit before he started to get into the recognizable names where we get a Bilal Muhammad versus Lyman Good type of matchup here. The other thing that is going to come to play a big factor in my opinion here is the fact that Lyman Good is not a spring chicken anymore. If I remember correctly, he is 41 years old. The UFC, while not by any stretch of the imagination, isn't a place where older gentlemen can't be, but we have seen that this is traditionally a younger man's game, and Father Time kicks your ass worse than any opponent you will step in the octagon with. So there's a time frame, there's a window on any fighter's career once they step to that high level, and Lyman Good's clock is fucking ticking here. So I think we're at a point where if you're going to realistically do the damn thing and you're going to have a chance at being recognized and potentially going for the fucking gold, you've got to put the fucking pedal to the floor in terms of your career. And I think if Lyman Good can't do that here against a guy who's recognizable but not quite upper echelon yet, like Bilal Muhammad, I think it's going to be about the end of his fucking career in the UFC. That's not to say he can't still have a decent run in Bellator or make a hell of a fucking go in PFL or, you know, head over to fucking Rise and juice your tits out and go crush cans with Gabby Garcia. Sounds like fun. Lots of people seem to enjoy doing it over there, and there's a paycheck for you, but it ain't the UFC. And if you want to be in the UFC, if you want to do the damn thing here, you got to get your shit together. I think this is that point for Lyman Good.
I think you might be mistaking Lyman Good for somebody else. He's only 34.
Yeah, he's going to be 35 this year.
Okay, then I am mistaking him for somebody else.
And that's why we correct on the spot, and that's why we're armchair quarterbacks.
We do it live, folks. We do it live.
Yeah. I was going to say, I didn't think Lyman Good was that old, although there is somebody that I think, I'm not positive who you mix that age with, but I know there's another fighter out there in that same weight division that's pushing those numbers.
Interesting.
I'd have to look it up. But.
So now I need to go back and double check my notes anyway, because apparently the website that I was taking my information from this part one had him mixed up with someone else as well. Okay, well, so scratch that. I don't like Bilal Muhammad. I'm rooting for Lyman Good anyway. Fuck him.
To be honest, I think this is a fucking fantastic fight for both these as far as where they're at in their careers. I think they're right similar levels here. I think this is gonna be a who wants it more fight, to be quite honest. Bilal Muhammad, he has fought a lot of fucking bigger names than we've seen out of Lyman Good so far. But it's all going to come down, in my opinion, to who wants this one more, who wants to possibly get that next fight against maybe a top 15 opponent. We'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I don't really don't have much to say about this one. I'm a Lyman Good fan, mostly because he's a pretty good fighter. I'm not gonna say anything about Muhammad. He's not a bad fighter. For the time that he's been in the UFC, he's done some work. He's gonna he's fought some pretty good name fighters. Really like to see Lyman Good come out, because he's gotta get back up, because he hasn't been doing much the last year or two. He's had one fight, and then that's pretty much been it for him. So I'd like to see him get back up and put a couple fights, string them together, and start putting some work going up in the division.
Very interesting. Very interesting fight to see shake loose. The next one here, the People's Co-main event, as they are referring to the fight before the Co. A very interesting matchup here. Kind of a see who still got it match, as it were. This one I do know for a fact. The ages. Raquel Pennington versus the oldest female UFC fighter still on the roster, the 43-year-old Marion Renault. That one I do know for a fact. This, ironically enough, is not kind of like the other fight, though. This isn't really a situation where Renault is getting thrown against a younger fighter. This is one of those situations where I'm honestly not 100% certain why this fight got placed on the main card, let alone this far down on the main card. Realistically, both Raquel Pennington and Marion Renault are not in the greatest shape career-wise right now. And realistically, with a dominant victory by either one, I could see the other getting justifiably cut. I don't tend to see either one of these two bringing the style or the gas tank to make this a very gritty, exciting fight. I'm kind of leaning immediately towards decision. Luckily, by a split decision here, I'm not seeing either one of these two with the skill set to make it a dominant victory. I kind of feel like this is the let's all go to the movies infomercial before the main event actually starts to roll and you get the good part that you actually are willing to sit down and watch through. That being said, who fucking knows with these two as well?
This one, to be honest, this fight was not even on my radar for this one. I think probably because Raquel Pennington is getting, for lack of a better term, long in the tooth. Like, I honestly think she's on the, probably, she's walking up to the 17th green right now. And
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Like, Marion, she hasn't done anything worth noting in the UFC, in my opinion. So, I mean, it's, for Marion, the only person who wins anything out of this fight is Marion, because she gets Raquel Pennington's name on her belt if she wins. Because, look, Raquel has not been a slouch in the women's bantamweight division, but she's also never been the, oh my god, she's the next best fucking thing since sliced bread. So, um, to be honest, not really one on my radar. If I'm gonna have to pick it, I'm gonna have to say Raquel purely on fucking what she's been through already, and she's got enough fucking fight IQ to make it go the distance and take a win by judge's decision.
Yeah, this is one of those fights that are like that is just an and fucking filler, especially getting towards up on this area of a main card. That's a whole lot of filler. Most people can really care less because it's two people that really need a win. Um, I mean, Raquel has she's had decent fights. Uh, I mean, so has Marion, but uh, it's one of those. It's one of those. If Marion can do something good for her, if Raquel can get a W, good for her. This is good. This is something that's not really going to shake up that division. So I like to say I'd like to see Marion because fucking getting into the early to mid 40s. Fuck yeah, get a W check.
Right.
But
And OBS just froze. So I'm going to restart one last time because we've just got the co-main and the fucking main, and then we're going to get the fuck out of here. And fuck OBS.
And does anybody really want to see our faces?
Probably not. Fuck them anyway. It's okay. We know we love our faces. If you don't, you can catch this on all audio at anchor.fm/I'mNoJoe. The day after we upload on YouTube. Okay, and we are back just in time to wipe out these last two fucking fights on the card and then get the fuck out of here because OBS is a sack of dog shit. First off, the co-main event, the fancily shaped plate o potatoes that is the side dish to the main. This one we have got a very, very interesting matchup in Josh Emmett versus Shane Burgos. This is probably one of the most exciting fights on this card. There are a couple of them that are just stupid good. This is one of them. Both of these gentlemen come in with the ability to straight knock the fucking opponent into orbit. That being said, Shane Burgos also has the ground game to make up for it if it goes to the ground. And we haven't seen so much of that from Josh Emmett. The other thing I will say that for me is going to make a big factor in this fight as well is that we have seen Shane Burgos, that's a weird fucking statement, take a hell of a fucking punch and keep on trucking. Whereas more often than not, when we've seen Josh Emmett get landed some fucking clean power on his chin, he tends to go to sleep. If this is another one of those, much like the Modafferi-Murphy fight, if it stays on the feet, I think Josh Emmett stands a damn good chance of taking this. But I think if this fight goes to the ground for anything other than a fucking knockdown or a wobble, I think this is Shane Burgos' fight to take.
I'm over here muted and shit.
I was just gonna say something to you.
You know, son of a bitch. Yeah, look, Josh Emmett, he's been on a bit of a tear, though. And I say a bit loosely because I think he's on a 3-fight win streak or two. Nope, he's on a 3-fight. I take that back. He had a loss to Jeremy Stevens prior to his last 2 fights. And Burgos, every time I see Burgos, he just reminds me of a fucking wild animal. Purely on the fact that it never seems that we know what he's going to do. Like, you can look at Josh Emmett's game and it's the same every fucking time. He's a great fucking counter puncher. You see that well. But once he starts to take shots, he folds. He folds like a cheap fucking table.
Yeah.
It's fucking terrible. I think in this, as much as I respect Josh Emmett's game, I think this is his fight to lose purely because of his fighting style. I think this is something that Burgos has a very good chance to put that stamp and say, okay, it's time for me to move up and for you to move on. I'm going to have to give this to Burgos. And this is, I will say this as a, because I haven't said this tonight, a caveat. This is possibly a dark horse fight of the night.
That I will agree with, absolutely. I think this fight did not get enough credit as far as the publicity and the pushing of the selling of the event, if you will. I think that this should have been hyped a lot fucking more than it was.
Part of that is Emmett and Burgos' fault, too.
I agree.
Because those two should have been pushing it a lot harder. You're in a co-main event spot. Be it on a fight night card.
Scream from the fucking rooftops, man. Yeah, you should be yelling that shit from the mountaintops, man. Let people know we're the fucking co-main. Yeah.
That's how you get your name out there, not only for people coming to watch the fight, but also, look, I will say this. I think there is a bias in the way that they do rankings with the UFC. You have to be loud and you have to perform. Yes. If you're not loud and performing at the same time, you're not going to get shit. If you perform but you're not loud, talking really slow rise in your stock. So they want people to be vocal and push, and I just don't think either one of them did. Now, is part of that on the UFC? Yeah, because that's the UFC's job is to promote the fights that are on the card. Now, how much money are you going to stick into something that is a fucking fight night card versus a pay per view? Not a whole lot, but how much money has the UFC lost this year so far?
Right? And
They
it's
should
not
be
going to slow
pushing for
down.
every fucking thing that they can get their filthy little grubby mitts on right now.
Yep. Yep.
I'm
I
just
completely
saying,
agree.
but I think dark horse fight of the night here. It could go either way. It's going to depend on whether Emmett gets caught with some good solid strikes from Burgos, though. Because if he does, Emmett will fold fucking terribly. If he doesn't, though, I really think it's Emmett's fight to lose if he doesn't get caught.
I can see that.
Also, going off what TJ said, both these guys are on a 3-fight win streak. Because three fights. Burgos lost against Calvin Qatar in 18. Both of them are in a 3-fight. Also, running off of what TJ said, Shane Burgos, you really can't train for him because every time it's something fucking bizarre and different, and you have no idea what he's coming at you with.
Yep.
So you're like, let's just train overall, and let's hope we make a game plan that fucking sticks. But with that being said, I honestly am gonna say Burgos on this, mostly because he shows that he's a little bit more well-rounded, being a great striker and very capable of going on the ground and putting in some work on the mat. And like Meter said, you just don't see that out of Emmett. He's one of the old school, more or less one-trick pony. Like, let's stand up and bang.
Right.
That shit doesn't really fly in the UFC anymore, and everybody knows that.
People are afraid to get punched in the mouth nowadays. Bunch
Yep.
of pussies.
Right, bitches.
Yeah. Like, you don't you can't expect to go far and only show that you have phenomenal striking. Like, it's very rare that people do, and like the most popular case is fucking Dagestani wrestle fucker will just take you to the ground every 10 seconds.
Right.
But that's because the man's a world-class fucking wrestler.
It's true.
Josh Emmett is a great striker, but he's not no fucking he doesn't have world-class hands. Sorry to tell you that, Josh. Shane Burgos from some ridiculous knockout. I want to see him do some stupid ass fucking knockout of the year type shit with a ridiculous spinning elbow going fucking backwards like last year.
I mean,
Oh, good God, don't bring it up.
I was gonna say let's not go there.
That'll just piss me off. We don't need that.
I was gonna say, yeah, we're almost at the end of a good one here. Let's not take that fucking route. But that, right? That being said, though, that will bring us to the gigantic 32-ounce tomahawk, perfectly fucking seared main event of the fucking evening. The meat and potatoes of the meat and potatoes in the meat and potatoes on the meat and potatoes part of the fucking show. And we have fucking got one, boys and girls. Curtis Razor Blaydes versus Alexander Volkov. Drago versus a Razor. This is going to be a great fucking fight. The interesting thing about this fight for me more than anything else is that we have seen Volkov get his ass handed to him for the entirety of a fucking fight. And much like a Phoenixian Derek Lewis rise from the ashes and come back to steal victory from the jaws of defeat on more than one occasion. I don't know that I would say that's a strong suit. I'm just saying we have seen it happen with Volkov, so it's tough to count him out at any point in the fight. That being said, Curtis Blaydes, with the exception of his only kryptonite we have seen being Francis Ngannou, has started to tear this fucking division apart from the ground up. The only thing that has been able to slow his progress in the fucking slightest has been Francis Ngannou, and he did it not once but twice. For whatever fucking reason, Francis has got Curtis's goddamn number dialed the fuck in, but everyone else in the heavyweight division has had a big fucking problem. They don't call him razor blades for nothing. Those fucking elbows are lethal cutting machines. He is a world-class wrestler and will put you where he needs you so he can use his implements of destruction on your goddamn face. The problem is, Volkov is fucking sneaky, man. The guy has got a tool set. He's got the fucking skills. He's got the experience. In my opinion, he just plays too much of that fucking Rocky Muhammad Ali style rope-a-dope bullshit. He tries to get you to wear yourself out. He almost encourages you to try and blow your fucking energy load so that he can come in and just piece you up, which he does very technically. But he leaves himself too open to take too much fucking damage in the process, and we have seen time and time again, even though he is capable of making that last second comeback, if you put the fucking business to him, it ends his goddamn night. And if anybody has a perfect fucking embodiment of being able to put the goddamn business to you, it's Curtis fucking Blaydes. I think unless he pulls a double-sided horseshoe out of his ass with both hands walking into the ring, Volkov does not stand a fucking chance of making it past the second round Saturday night.
I'm very inclined to agree with you, except for one thing. I don't think he makes it out of the first. But, I mean, Curtis Blaydes has been on an absolute tear since his last fucking loss to Ngannou.
Fuck yeah.
To be honest, if he puts a big stamp on this one, puts him away definitively, you know, maybe gives the guy plastic surgery in 2 places on his face, maybe one above an eyebrow, one on the cheek. I'm just saying, if that doesn't put him back into the talks with title contention and possibly a rematch with his kryptonite, and at this point, that's very possibility because DC and Stipe finally made their fucking date to fucking Rumble, so it's a possibility that that's out there for him to get a third shot, but I don't know that Ngannou's team will take that, other than to say, yeah, you know what? Sure, we put you away twice, we can do it again.
Right.
However, I think Curtis Blaydes has gotten a lot better since the last time they fought. And I'm not saying Ngannou hasn't, but fuck, there could be some potential fireworks there. Volkov, on the other hand, he's gonna have to do something that he couldn't manage to. Okay, let me start this over. He's gonna have to do something for 5 rounds that he could not manage to do in 3 rounds with Derek Lewis, and that is to keep it together, strike crisply, fucking be on point, and have that accurate striking that he does, where he's able to pick people apart. But he's gonna have to do it for 5 rounds. He couldn't manage it for 3 rounds with fucking old Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis put his ass to sleep in the fucking 11th hour.
Yep.
And by 11th hour, I mean with like 10 or 12 seconds left on the clock, just fucking KO'd him.
Yep.
So he's going to have to do something. Hopefully that loss on his record, albeit he won his last one, hopefully that loss on his record has really fixed the way that he's gone about business. And stop trying to be Ivan fucking Drago. Look, what eventually happens to Ivan Drago? Anybody watch the movies? He eventually loses. I'm just saying, Curtis Blaydes might not be Rocky, but in this case, he fucking is. I think he puts him out of there in the first. I don't think Alexander's going to be able to pick him apart like he has other fighters in the past, and let alone hold it up for 5 fucking rounds. No, not going to happen. And I don't think he has enough to put fucking Curtis Blaydes away.
I don't either.
I say this is Curtis Blaydes' fight to lose, first round victory, and he's gonna fucking TKO him with strikes.
Yeah. Volkov is a fabulous fighter. He's got a great fight IQ. But when he gets a fighter that is fucking just aggressive on aggressive on their feet, he kind of fucking gets scatterbrained. Like, as y'all have mentioned, the Derek Lewis fight. Derek Lewis is a fucking animal on his feet. He couldn't keep it together in 3 round. Most people that he fights that goes into deep water, if it's a 5 round fight late into the third or into the fourth, are people that don't have great gas tanks. So if this does go deep, which I see no fucking way it does, but if it does, you're automatically counting out Volkov. It's automatically just fucking check the box next to Blaydes because he's got it. If Volkov can get out of the first round, I'm gonna give you a fucking round of applause, but I don't see it happening because Curtis Blaydes has has had a fire underneath him for a minute now, and he's just been fucking tearing apart the heavyweight division. And it'll be great to see him work his way up to the top for a fucking title contention next year.
I think so.
It will be fucking a great fight to see Curtis Blaydes possibly getting a chance for a title.
I think it's definitely not outside the realm of possibilities, especially with a good fucking performance this weekend. It's real fucking hard to deny. If he comes through and fucking wrecks Volkov, it's hard to deny that either they got to give him another shot at that fucking Kryptonite trilogy, or they got to stand him in fucking line right behind him and give him a fucking shot, period. There's no more pushing him back or ignoring him.
Yeah, because he is firmly planted his foot as a fucking contender inside the heavyweight division.
Yeah, he's kicking the fucking door, and if you don't open it for him, he's gonna kick that fucking door in. We're at that point.
I can't even call him a contender. I have to call him a title challenger because I think he's earned that right at this point.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think he's easily top 3 in the fucking division. Top 5 worst case scenario. So I think this weekend gives him a chance to really cement himself as the next fucking guy come hell or high water. That being said, though, that is all we have that this particular episode will contain. That being said, before we go around here, I do want to take a moment and say thank you to everyone who is supporting us, whether you were here with us live, whether you were catching this on the all audio version, which, in case you didn't know, if these Instagram influencer level faces are just too fucking much to keep you from absorbing the information, anchor.fm/I'm No Joe for the all audio version. Distraction free, if you will. You can find us everywhere on all social media platforms at I'm No Joe. YouTube, obviously, Instagram, Facebook, video game streaming over at mixer.com/I'm No Joe. You can support what we do around here by going to patreon.com/I'm No Joe. Become a patron, get access to the behind the scenes, the unaired and even unairable things that happen here on the I'm No Joe YouTube channel. But if we gave you something that kept you occupied, if we made you giggle a little bit, give us a thumbs up. If we brought you a perspective that you didn't have until this fucking show, subscribe. We're here every week for your knowledge. If we gave you a fucking light bulb striking epiphany, share an episode of the show. We're trying to grow the damn thing. On the other side of that coin, if we just seem like a couple of dipshits talking to webcams without knowing what the fuck we're actually saying, give us a thumbs down. We earned it and we won't dispute it. But that being said, I would like to take a moment and thank these fine gentlemen for going through the shit talking with me here, for helping give me different perspectives on this upcoming card. So at this point, if someone wants to find out who the fuck this new guy is and why he's got that little dirt on his chin, how can they track you down after the show, RJ?
Instagram RJ__vapes, or you can hit me up at RJ MMA official over there on the Instagrams. Come talk some shit with me. I can tell you about my patchy milk beard and mustache. It's coming in.
You'll get there one day.
Yeah.
Thank you again for your time, sir. Always appreciate that.
Thank you. Good to be back also with you guys.
Now, at this point, I don't know how it's possible, but let's say for argument's sake, someone does not know where the best place to get cheese curds and hear about the Kenosha Crippler is in the Green Bay area, how can they get a hold of you after the show and get a little education, TJ?
Wednesday nights, right here on the YouTube, Golf T Vapes YouTube channel, 9:30 Central Time, here every Thursday. You can also hit me up on the Instagrams, message me there. I'll gladly talk shit with you there. But if you need to know about the Crippler, by all means, call on me. Look, there are very few people who fight out of Wisconsin that I don't back, aside from, you know, somebody like Macy Barber, for example. Fuck that guy. Or gal in this case. And no, I don't want to fuck her. I'm just saying fuck her in general.
Absolutely. Always appreciate your opinion. Always appreciate your time, sir. Thank you very much for being here. That, folks, is all we have for this particular episode. So we are going to call that all for now and let you fine folks mosey on with your evening. Remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless you're one of those people that hear Black Lives Matter and have to yell back, All Lives Matter, fuck you. You're an asshole.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.